If you've ever looked at a piece of fractal gear, an XFX3, FM9, or FM3, and thought, this thing's incredible, but where do I even start? Then this video is for you. If you watched the last video, this is where we start turning that idea into something practical. And if you didn't see it, that's totally fine. You can still follow along here and I'll link to it below because it explains why this approach works. This video is about how it actually comes together. Hi, I'm Steve. Welcome to my studio. Right now, I see a lot of players asking things like, how often does this stuff get updated? Or is it even smart to buy in now? We'll definitely get into those questions later in this series. But first, you need to understand what Fractal actually is and how it's meant to work. Over the last month and a half, I've been living inside the Fractal ecosystem. And I want to do something a little bit different with this series. Instead of scrolling through presets or geeking out on specs, I want to help you understand how these units are actually meant to be used in a way that feels musical, logical, and not overwhelming. For example, we're not going to cover blocks just because they exist. We'll talk about things when it actually matters, musically. And throughout this series, whenever something is specific to Fractal, I'll try to connect it to a bigger non-Fractal idea because a lot of these concepts apply no matter what gear you're using. This isn't about memorizing menus or chasing features. It's about understanding how a rig works so it feels intuitive, musical, and consistent. Now, one of the bigger mistakes people make with Fractal gear is thinking of it as a pedal board or an amp or a recording interface. And in reality, it's none of those and kind of all of those at the same time. At its core, a Fractal unit is a complete guitar signal environment. You're not just choosing sounds, you're deciding where things live, how they interact, and how they change in real time. I'll show you what I mean. Now this screen right here, this grid, this is the heart of everything. Once this makes sense, the rest of the Fractal world starts to open up pretty quickly. Let's start from nothing. Because that's what we got, nothing. Now, before there's any sound at all, this is just infrastructure. To be able to hear anything, we've got to build on it. So I'm going to use one of my favorite features in Axe Edit 3, and that's Quick Build. Here, I could just drag in my input. I can drag in an output. Now, you don't need to spread these this far apart. I do it so that I've got a lot of space in between them. But pretty much however you want to organize this, you can do it. Now, if I play, you're still not going to hear anything. And that's because just like with real gear, you got to run a cable. So I'm going to hit that, and I'm going to come over and hit that. It's going to work a little bit in the background, and you should see a cable. There we go. Now, if I play something, we got signal coming in and signal going out. Nothing exciting yet, and that's fine. This part is just about understanding flow, not tone. Now we'll add the first pieces that actually help us shape our tone. First thing I'm going to add is an amplifier. And second, I'm going to add a speaker cab. Now I'll close Quick Build, and I'm going to start with the speaker cab because without a good speaker sound happening, doesn't matter what amp you're going to put in there. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to change the type to Dynacab. And Dynacabs are a Fractal proprietary speaker simulation based on impulse responses, but they're a little bit deeper. And we'll go over all of this in future videos. Now I'm going to select the 412 1960 TV, which is basically a Marshall 412, the tall version. And it's on a condenser mic, and that's good. That's what I want. Now I'm going to come over here and pick the same cabinet, but I'm going to make it a ribbon mic. Then I'm going to unmute it. Now I'll come over here to the amp, and my amp type is showing as a deluxe verb normal, which, hello, deluxe reverb. So, and we've got something like this. It's a little bit gnarly, but we can fix that. And I'm going to bring this up, I guess, to try -4. A little much, try -8. All right, so we've got a good, nice Fender sound here now. So now, at this point, the rig is alive. Check it out. Now, we're not going to tweak anything just yet. This is just enough to hear that the system is working. The amp and cab blocks are the centerpiece of the whole thing. This is where tone and feel come from. The response, the dynamics, the way the guitar pushes back at you. And this is why everything else in the preset exists to support these. I'm not chasing a perfect tone here. I just wanted a familiar bass line so we could focus on how the system works. Now, one of, if not the most powerful tools inside the Fractal is channels. And this is where a lot of things start to really click. Almost every block can have up to 4 channels, A, B, C, and D. And each one can be a completely different version of that block. Now, if we look over here, we see we're in channel A. If I switch over to channel B, it's a duplicate right now of channel A. But let's say I want a nice, crunchy Marshall kind of sound. Go over to the Brit 800 2203 high. All right, that's a nice gnarly Marshall JCM 800 sound. Now, I'm going to put in some settings that I know work for this amp. Just so we've got a nice familiar bassline sound. And there we've got a pretty darn good JCM 800 sound. So think of channels as variations, not presets. And we could take this even farther. If I want to go to C, I want to have a nice heavy crunchy sound on there. I will go with a 5150 100 watt Stealth Blue. All right, that one needs to come way up. So now in our little preset, we got 3 channels. We got a nice clean sound. We have got our JCM 800 crunch. And then we got a good crunchy 5153 sound. So think of channels as variations, not presets. Now the amp block, it can be all the same amp or completely different amps like you just saw. That's why channels are such a powerful feature and one of the big ways Fractal differs from other modelers. And this applies across the AXFX3, the FM9, the FM3, and even the AM4 follows the same philosophy with fewer blocks overall, but the same basic idea. We'll go deeper into channels later. For now, I just want you to understand what's possible. And finally, scenes are where all of this becomes usable in the real world. A scene doesn't change which blocks you have. It changes which channels are active, what's on or off, and how the system behaves as a whole. Okay, I'll show you what I mean now. Right now, we're on scene 1. That's set to amp channel A, which is the Deluxe Verb Normal, which is my clean sound. Now, let's put a name on that so we know what we got. Now, I'd like to make scene 2 my nice crunchy sound, so I'll just switch to amp channel B, the Brit 800 2203 high. I'll name this one Crunch. And then I want to make scene 3 my heavy sound. So I'll choose amp channel C, and we've got the 5153 100 watt stealth blue. And that's on scene 3. So I'll change this one to heavy. Original names, huh? Then I'll go over, hit save to make sure I don't lose anything. So now, instead of thinking about settings, you're thinking in more musical performance terms. Check it out. So one preset, multiple scenes, multiple amps, one amp block. And this is why Fractal can feel intimidating at first. You're not just dialing in a sound, you're designing a system. The upside is that once you get past the initial learning curve, these units will do exactly what you want, and they'll do it consistently. Here's what that feels like musically. Same preset, just musical changes. Before we go any further in this series, there's one important thing I want to clear up. Everything I'm showing you here on the Axe-Fx 3 also applies directly to the FM9 and the FM3. Same concepts, same workflow. The differences are mostly about how much you can do at once, not how you think about it. And while I don't have an AM4 here to demonstrate with, the philosophy is basically the same, just in a more streamlined pedalboard style format. If you've been curious about Fractal gear but weren't sure where to start, you're in the right place. If this was helpful, hit that like button and consider subscribing, and let me know in the comments which you'd like to see me cover next. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.